They didn't expect you to survive because your survival was the one outcome that would expose all of them. Now imagine this for a moment. Chosen One. A room full of people who don't even like each other, suddenly working together behind your back. Enemies linking arms like best friends, family turning colder than strangers, old lovers, fake friends, jealous co-workers, all quietly united by one unspoken fear: your supernatural power. That's the level of threat you represent. You, standing alone, scared them more than anything they could control. That's why they teamed up. Not because you were weak, but because even in your silence, they could feel the storm rising inside you. You didn't just trigger their jealousy, you triggered their survival instincts. And here's a cold, brutal fact. In group mobbing situations, targeted individuals often don't survive mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. The isolation works, the lies work, the betrayal is usually fatal, but you, Chosen One, shattered the entire script. Statistically, you weren't supposed to make it this far. Energetically, they couldn't touch your soul. Spiritually, you were built for war, and they forgot you're not just any soul. You're a one of one. And thank you, Chosen One. Don't forget to pay this message back by simply pressing the like and subscribe to help spread this message to more souls, as it's the responsibility of all of us to spread the light. And thanks, Chosen One, for being part of this mission. You are the part of a force, a rare, unbreakable force that's rising faster than they ever anticipated. So now, let's talk about what's really happening. You shocked them. Your survival wasn't just unexpected, it was terrifying. You didn't fold, you didn't beg, you didn't self-destruct. Instead, you turned inward. You evolved. You started healing wounds they thought they could keep open forever. And when their sabotage didn't kill you, it exposed them. Every move they made behind your back, every lie they whispered, every spell they cast, every mask they wore. Now it's unraveling. They're not just mad that you survived. They're afraid of what your survival means, because your existence now confirms they failed. That's the part they can't swallow. These weren't random attacks. This was a coordinated takedown. People who had no business even knowing each other somehow found each other through gossip, group chats, and bitter prayers, all centered around you. Your name stayed in their mouths like a curse. You were the obsession, and they tried everything: spiritual warfare, psychic slander, energetic theft, character assassination, even legal manipulation. Some even went into dark places, throwing death rituals under the full moon just to block your path. But the thing is, Chosen One, they were fighting against a blueprint they didn't create. Your destiny isn't given, it's coded, it's in your DNA. That can't be hacked, that can't be replaced. You want to know why they're still watching you? Why they can't move on? Because they're stuck in the timeline where you didn't break. And that timeline haunts them. Every win you get now is a scar on their conscience. Every breakthrough is proof that the universe favored you over their schemes. And what's worse, some of them actually wanted to be you. They studied your light so long they tried to clone it. But they forgot something critical. Your light isn't aesthetic. It's earned, it's forged in fire, it's carved through loss. You broke in front of them, yes, but then you did something supernatural. You rebuilt in silence. They thought the shame, the gossip, the betrayal, the isolation, the spiritual attacks would crush you, but all it did was strip away the illusions. What's left now is the real you, untouchable, intuitive, dangerous. Not because you hurt people, but because you see through them. That's what terrifies them now. You're not naive anymore. You've tasted the blade of betrayal from every angle. You've watched the ones who claim to love you set you up to fail. And You still rose. This is why they're scrambling. Some are acting sweet, sending energy your way, trying to look harmless. Others are playing the victim, hoping to rewrite the past. And some are still trying to cause chaos from the shadows, thinking if they throw one last punch, maybe you'll finally fall. But here's the truth. Chosen One. They lost the war the moment you refused to retaliate. That silence, that boundary, that elevation. It was a spiritual verdict. The moment you stopped engaging, the universe stepped in. Now their karma is coming in waves, and your glow-up isn't just physical, it's prophetic, it's poetic. They called you delusional, but now everything you said is coming to pass. They said you were crazy, but now they're the ones seeing shadows in the mirror. They tried to block your path, but now you're so far ahead, they can't even see the dust you left behind. So remember this, you surviving wasn't just about healing, it was about revealing. And what you revealed is terrifying to them, that you're not only alive, you're activated. And that supernatural power they feared? You haven't even unleashed your full potential yet, and that's the part that will haunt them forever. And listen closely, Chosen One. Don't go anywhere, because what you just heard, that was only the surface. That was the quiet whisper before the thunder. The real truth, the gritty, shocking, step-by-step revelation of how they all teamed up against you, how they tried to spiritually assassinate you, and how your supernatural power terrified them into desperation. That's what's coming next. So if you've ever questioned why they did all that, or how you survived what should have destroyed you, then stay close. And if you feel this message piercing through the noise like it was meant for you, then it was. Drop the number 777 in the comments. If you know deep down the universe kept you alive for a reason they still can't comprehend. And if you feel called to, bless the energy behind this message with a super thanks. It fuels the light we spread and protects this movement from the shadows trying to silence it. You're not watching this by chance. This is part of your recall. And now, let's dive into this, step by step. If you're truly a chosen one, you'll feel it in your bones. You won't be able to walk away, because what's coming next will confirm everything. Let's get started. Number 1, they failed to break you. Now they want to sit next to you. They couldn't break you, so now they want to stand next to your light, hoping no one remembers they tried to bury it. Let that one sink in for a second. These people didn't just betray you, they tried to delete you, erase your energy, drain your soul, humiliate you in silence. And now they want back in. Now they act like they've always supported you, like they were never part of the circle of snakes that tried to choke your growth. But what they don't realize is this: the Chosen One doesn't just survive betrayal, we evolve because of it. You see, the enemy only respects what they can't destroy, and when they found out you were unbreakable, they panicked, because nothing scares a manipulator more than someone who refuses to bend. Nothing frustrates a narcissist more than the silence of someone they couldn't control. That's why they're crawling back now, not out of love, not out of change, but because you didn't die in the storyline they scripted. You're off script now, and they don't know how to deal with that. Now imagine this: Chosen One, a maniacal director writing your failure into every scene, plotting your downfall like a climax in their little ego-driven drama. They gathered co-stars, they built the plot twist, they used props like lies, gossip, spell work, fake concern, even staged betrayals, all to set the stage for your collapse. But you didn't play your role. You refused. You walked off set and rewrote the story yourself. And now, with no ending they can control, they're begging to be part of your sequel. That's not love. That's desperation disguised as reconciliation. Here's the hard truth: when people realize they can't break you, they switch strategies. Suddenly, they miss you. Suddenly, they didn't mean it like that. You'll get texts out of nowhere, numbers you blocked calling you through Google Voice or from random phones. Family members you haven't spoken to in years will suddenly just want to check in. Friends who turned on you will start liking your posts again. Don't fall for it. That's not connection. That's infiltration. Remember this, most snakes don't hiss anymore. They text, they act sweet. They say, "We were young," or "We've all made mistakes." But you've seen too much, you've bled too much, you've rebuilt too much. You're not the same person they tried to break, and you damn sure aren't the same person they think they can fool now. Your power isn't just spiritual, it's awareness. And now that you see through them, their manipulation doesn't work anymore. That's the part that hurts them the most. Let's be real. At this point, you might be wondering, what if they've changed? Maybe you've even considered giving someone a second chance. But let me ask you this. If someone helped load the bullets for your emotional execution, do they get to cry at your rebirth party? No, because survival doesn't owe apologies to sabotage. You're not bitter, you're clear, and that clarity is the most dangerous thing you now carry. Look at history, look at the lives of people who rose from the ashes. Oprah Winfrey was told she'd never succeed in TV. She was abused, rejected, and publicly humiliated. Now she's a billionaire who owns her own network. And guess what? Some of those same people who laughed at her, they tried to work for her years later. But you can't pretend you weren't part of the fire when someone walks out of it glowing. Same with Tyler Perry. Same with Lady Gaga. Same with Steve Jobs. The minute they rose, the very hands that tried to pull them down came reaching up again. That's the pattern. That's what happens when power reveals itself in someone they underestimated. They didn't love you. They loved your silence. They loved your confusion. They loved your access. And now that you've reclaimed your voice, your direction, and your energy, they're uncomfortable. So uncomfortable that pretending to care is the only move left. But don't confuse regret with remorse. Regret says, "I feel bad you figured me out." Remorse says, "I'll do anything to make it right." And the truth is, most of them only regret getting caught, not the harm they caused. Some of you already know who I'm talking about. You can feel them watching. You can feel their energy trying to creep in. And for those wondering why someone would hurt you and then try to come back, it's simple. Because your energy is irreplaceable. You were never just an option. You were the blessing they didn't know how to handle, the peace they weren't ready for, the mirror they couldn't face. And now that you've walked away, they're addicted to what they tried to destroy. Let me tell you something powerful. When you're chosen, you don't chase closure. You become it. Your silence, your elevation, your resilience, it says everything they don't want to hear. You don't need to explain why you cut them off. You don't need to defend the boundary. Your glow-up is the statement. Your peace is the punctuation. They tried to play you. Now they replay the memories while watching you level up without them. Here's another truth bomb. They don't want to be close to you. They want to be close to your spotlight. They want to benefit from your blessings without earning a seat at your table. That's why the apology comes with manipulation. That's why the check-in text comes right after a major milestone in your life. They're watching, always have been. And now that the crown is visible, the vultures are circling again. But you already know what to do. Don't let the people who tried to destroy your roots eat from the fruit of your tree. You're not obligated to entertain old energy. You're not wrong for protecting your peace. And you're not heartless for closing the door they used to throw knives through. This is your era of discernment. And everyone doesn't get an invitation. So let this be your reminder. They failed to break you, but that doesn't mean they deserve to sit next to you. Elevation requires separation. Not everyone who starts the journey deserves a seat at the destination. And the next time they knock on your door with apologies and excuses, remember this: You didn't survive to become available. You survived to become unreachable. And that's exactly what terrifies them now. Number 2, they lied, hexed, and stalked, and still lost. They threw spells, slander, and shadows, but forgot the Chosen One doesn't die in the dark. We rise from it. This one's gonna sting if you were one of them, because this isn't just about betrayal. This is about spiritual warfare. This is about psychological torture disguised as concern. This is about people who didn't just lie about you. They hexed your name in every way they could, and it still didn't work. Because while they were busy playing sorcery with your soul, you were building something they never believed in: inner power. Let's start with the obvious. They didn't just talk about you behind your back. They plotted. They twisted your image in the eyes of others. They whispered lies so heavy they started to believe them themselves. They're crazy. They're unstable. They're doing dark magic. They're not who they say they are. The whole goal: to isolate you, to confuse you, to make the world turn on you before your light could reach it. It wasn't gossip. It was ritualized sabotage. Now imagine this: Chosen One, someone lighting candles at night, chanting your name, not in prayer, but in malice. Someone throwing salt, blood, or intentions in your direction, hoping your blessings would decay. Someone going into spiritual forums, messaging readers, trying to manipulate energy on your timeline. Sound dramatic? It's not. It's real. And if you're truly chosen, you already felt it. In your sleep, in your body, in the silence after a betrayal you couldn't explain. That heaviness, that confusion, that sudden wave of fear for no reason. That was energy being weaponized against you. But here's the punchline they never saw coming. You were already covered, not in religion, but in resonance. Your frequency was too high to absorb what they threw at you. That's why every attack bounced back, like a boomerang with teeth. That's why their lives started falling apart while yours started expanding. You weren't being punished, you were being proofed. They thought they were exposing you, but all they did was expose themselves. Let's talk facts. Energetic attacks, whether through words, intentions, or literal spellwork, can impact unprotected souls. That's why so many people break under pressure, but not you. And do you want to know why? Because the chosen ones are coded differently. We're tested early, betrayed early, left out early. That pain, it's armor. That confusion, it's intuition being born. That isolation, it's calibration. Every lie told about you shaped the sharp edge of your discernment. Every silent enemy tuned your radar. And when they hexed you, when they paid readers or did the rituals, they didn't know your spiritual team doesn't miss. You didn't just survive their energy, you absorbed it, transmuted it, and leveled up with it. That's the part that's eating them alive. You didn't just survive, you thrived. You got smarter, softer, but sharper. You didn't break, you evolved into something too powerful to manipulate. Some of you had nightmares that weren't dreams. They were visits. Some of you kept waking up between 3 and 5 a.m., sweating, panicking, feeling like someone was watching you. That wasn't paranoia. That was real. That was them trying to enter your space, through spell work, through astral projection, through obsessive thought patterns. They wanted you to spiral, but you didn't. They sent confusion, so you got clarity. They tried to block your love life, so the universe showed you who not to trust. They tried to kill your confidence, so you found your voice. They even tried to take your life in some cases. But the universe didn't let you go. Why? Because the chosen ones don't die in storms we were built to walk through. Let me say this loud for the enemies still watching. The chosen one is not your average target. We are not weak because we're kind. We are not naive because we're silent. We are not confused just because we don't respond. We are protected. even when we're unaware. And that's why every spell backfired. That's why every gossip circle eventually turned on each other. That's why every person who believed the lies started feeling the karma. They tapped into energy they had no permission to touch. Think about it. They lied, they hexed, they stalked, and still couldn't knock you off course. What does that say about you? What does it say about your design? You were forged for high-level spiritual combat, and you didn't even know it at first. But now you're aware. Now you feel energy shifts before people even speak. Now you see lies before they form. Now you can cut cords with no words, no warning. That's power. That's why they're scared now. Even the ones who once laughed at your pain, who mocked your spirituality, who said you're too sensitive, are starting to see the truth. Because everything they said you were, you became psychic, protected, blessed, dangerous, not to good people, but to predators. Your light makes parasites panic, and now they're fumbling, backpedaling, some even apologizing. But it's too late, because you saw what they did when they thought you were powerless. Let me address a question that might still linger in your heart. Why did they go so far? Why did they hate me so much? It wasn't you, it was your frequency, your calling, your glow. They felt it before you did. Your light held up a mirror to their darkness. Your innocence threatened their manipulation. Your elevation exposed their stagnation. They weren't attacking you, they were reacting to the part of you that couldn't be controlled. And that's exactly what they feared the most. Even now, they still lurk, watching your page, checking your stories, asking about you indirectly, because they want to know if the storm they sent ever touched you. And the answer is no, it couldn't. You are the storm. They sent spells to stop the wind, not knowing you were the tornado. They played with shadows, not realizing you mastered the night. Some of you will get apologies, some of you already have, but don't be fooled. Most apologies are just strategies. They're not sorry for the attacks, they're sorry you survived them. They're not sorry they lied, they're sorry they weren't convincing enough. And some of them are only returning now because what they threw at you has returned to them tenfold. They want your help, your healing, your energy, but those days are over. You're not obligated to heal those who tried to spiritually destroy you. You're not required to let stalkers back into your sacred space. And you don't have to carry the weight of their regrets just because you've forgiven them. Forgiveness frees you, not them. They made their bed when they declared war on a soul chosen by the universe. And now, they can lie in the ruins of their own design. So let this be your reminder. They lied, hexed, and stalked, and still lost. Because you're not just here to survive, you're here to reign. And this chapter, this next era of your life, it's where you stop hiding your light and start using it to burn through every illusion they ever cast over your name. This is your power now, and no one's taking it again. Number 3, trust was their weapon. Now it's your greatest armor. They didn't betray you because you were weak. They betrayed you because they thought you'd never see it coming. Let that sit for a moment. That's the kind of betrayal only the chosen ones understand. You didn't lose friends, you just got exposed to enemies wearing friendly masks. And they didn't slip up, they planned it. Your loyalty was a map to your vulnerabilities. You trusted them, and they used that trust like a dagger wrapped in a smile. Now imagine this, chosen one, a lion raised among sheep, never told it was royalty. That's how you moved through your old circles, gentle, unaware of your own force. But the moment they saw your eyes awaken, they panicked. They couldn't control you anymore, and so they conspired, not with fists, but with whispers, not with proof, but with poison. Their weapon of choice? Your open heart. And yet, here you are, still standing, still rising, and now sharper than ever. That soft heart of yours didn't harden, it evolved. You didn't become bitter, you became brilliant. You didn't stop trusting, you just stopped giving access to those who hadn't earned it. That's power. Let's be real. Betrayal hurts more than any punch. It confuses the soul. It makes you question your instincts. You might have asked, was I stupid for not seeing it sooner? No, chosen one. You were pure. You were real. And being real in a world full of fakes is dangerous, but it's also rare. The universe isn't punishing you. It's refining you. That pain was the price of your elevation. You don't walk like everyone else now because you've been burned in ways they never could have survived. Did they think breaking your trust would break your spirit? That you'd become paranoid, bitter, cold? No, you became a mirror. You now reflect truth so clearly, fakes can't stand near you without being exposed. That's why they're uncomfortable around you. It's not hate, it's conviction. Your very presence reminds them they couldn't destroy what they didn't understand. And here's the wild part. They're still watching, hoping your walls will drop, hoping you'll let your guard down again, but not this time. The universe already sent the signs. You don't open the door to snakes twice. You've earned your instincts now. You're not guarded out of fear, but out of wisdom. And while they thought isolating you would break you, it only prepared you. You don't need crowds to feel strong anymore. You found strength in the silence, direction in the distance, and clarity in the storm. The people you thought were your tribe, they were decoys. The real ones, the soul tribe, the protectors, the warriors who move like you, they're being aligned now. Watch how new doors open. Watch how your spirit feels it before your mind can explain it. So let them whisper, let them ask mutual friends if you're still mad. Let them lurk and pretend like nothing happened. That chapter is done. They tried to bury you, but didn't know you were a seed. And now, you've grown roots too deep for anyone to uproot. The universe saw everything, every lie, every setup, every fake smile, and now the scales are balancing. Those who misused your trust will face losses that mirror the betrayal they caused, not because you wished it, but because universal law always closes the circle. So what do you do now? You rise louder, you protect your energy like a vault, and you let your light do the talking. Because here's the truth. When trust becomes your armor instead of your weakness, you become untouchable. Stay locked in, chosen one. You're not hard to love. They just weren't capable of loving someone like you. Let the universe finish what it started. You just keep glowing. Because now, the very thing they used to hurt you has become the reason they'll never get close to you again. Number 4, they wanted you afraid, but you became a psychological fortress. They studied your fears like a blueprint, then watched in disbelief when you built a castle on top of them. That's the part that haunts them, chosen one. They wanted you afraid. They wanted you paranoid, shaking, doubting your sanity. They wanted your own mind to turn against you because fear is the easiest way to control someone they can't physically destroy. But here's the twist they didn't expect. You didn't just survive the psychological warfare, you mastered it. You became the calm in chaos, the still mind in their storm. Now imagine this, a pack of wolves circling a lion they think is wounded. They growl, they test, they taunt. But when the lion rises, silent, unbothered with that steady stare, they scatter. That's what you became. They threw projection, manipulation, gaslighting and mind games at you hoping you'd implode. Instead, you learned the pattern. You saw through the performance. They called you crazy, when in reality, they were describing themselves. Let's get real for a moment. Studies show that consistent gaslighting and social isolation can rewire the brain, making victims question their reality. But the opposite happened to you. Your nervous system adapted, your intuition sharpened, and your emotional awareness became razor sharp. You didn't lose your mind, you refined it. You started picking up micro-signals, patterns in tone, shifts in energy. You began noticing who lies through smiles and who hides envy behind compliments. That's not paranoia, that's evolution. They told people you were unstable because they needed others to see you as fragile. That way, no one would believe you when you started speaking truth. Classic psychological warfare. But the universe was watching and documenting. Every smear campaign, every fake narrative, every setup was a lesson in discernment. You were never losing. It just looked like that while you were building mental armor thicker than steel. They played with your triggers. They wanted you reactive. They wanted you emotional. But you learned that silence is the loudest answer. You stopped explaining yourself to people, committed to misunderstanding you. And that silence, it drove them insane, because now they can't manipulate what they can't access. Here's what they don't get. Fear only works when the target doubts their own power. You don't. Not anymore. You've seen what happens when you stop running and face the fire. You realized most of what they threatened you with was illusion. Psychological projection, when people throw their own insecurities, guilt and chaos onto someone pure. You were their mirror. They saw their darkness reflected in your calm, and they couldn't handle it. You may ask, why did they need to see me afraid so badly? Because your confidence exposed their weakness. Your peace exposed their noise, and your stability reminded them of everything they lacked, so they tried to shake it. But fear doesn't work on those who've already met the worst version of pain and lived to tell the story. The universe didn't allow you to crumble because your mind was your battlefield, and you won. Every sleepless night, every panic attack, every moment of confusion, it was psychological boot camp for the power you carry now. You've trained your mind to detect manipulation faster than a lie detector. You've learned that when something feels off, it's because your spirit knows before your logic catches up. That's divine intuition at work, and they can't mimic that. And now they're terrified because they can't gaslight someone who's mastered self-trust. They can't control someone who's emotionally fluent. They can't threaten someone who already faced fear and came out fearless. You're not paranoid. You're perceptive. You're not cold. You're clear. You're not unstable. You're unshakable. So let them call you distant. Let them label you intimidating. That's what survivors of mental warfare become, too grounded to play games. You've turned your pain into perception, your isolation into insight, and your trauma into technology. You've built an inner fortress no one can breach. The universe stood by you in every breakdown, whispering, "You're not losing it, you're learning it." And now you are what they feared most. A mind that cannot be manipulated, a soul that cannot be shaken, and a chosen one who fears absolutely nothing. Number 5. The universe sees everything. Now, so do you. They watched you with cameras and envy, but now you see them with intuition and fire, and that vision can't be shut off. Chosen one, they thought surveillance gave them the upper hand. They had their little spies, their fake accounts, their accidental run-ins, and their late-night obsession with your every move. They studied your social media like it was scripture. They zoomed in on your stories. They showed up where you were. They followed in silence, thinking you wouldn't notice. But the joke's on them, because while they were watching you, the universe was watching them. And now, so are you. Imagine this, a hawk circling high above, quiet, unseen, but seeing everything. That's what you've become. They tried to monitor your steps through technology, but you started monitoring their intentions through energy. You began having dreams about people's true colors before they even acted out. You felt betrayal in your chest before the knife was ever twisted. That's not paranoia. That's awakening. That's spiritual GPS. That's divine surveillance downloaded straight into your soul. At first, it confused you, the dreams, the repeating numbers, the sudden chills in a room that felt too silent. You thought maybe you were just overthinking, but then it started happening too often to be coincidence. A name would pop into your mind, and hours later, they'd text you. You'd feel off around someone, and the truth would come out within days. And let's talk about the signs. Dragonflies showing up when you're about to walk away from someone toxic. The number 1111 flashing when you're on the verge of a breakthrough. Music lyrics answering questions you haven't even asked out loud. These weren't random, they were receipts. Evidence that you were syncing with something greater. You may have asked, why did I start seeing everything so clearly once I distanced myself from them? Because clarity comes when chaos leaves. The universe couldn't deliver those messages while you were surrounded by noise. But the moment you silenced the distractions, the universe turned up the volume. What used to feel like guessing is now knowing. What used to be anxiety is now discernment. What used to be a dream is now prophecy. And you didn't force it. You earned it. Let's be clear, they were watching you out of fear. Fear of what you might become. Fear that you would figure it all out. And now that you've woken up, they're terrified because the person they tried to keep asleep now sees straight through every mask, every fake smile, every energy leech trying to plug back into your light. They were the watchers, but now you're the seer. This isn't about revenge. This is about awareness. You no longer get played, manipulated, or baited. You see the trap before it's laid. You feel the shift before it's spoken. They can't sneak up on you anymore because the universe gave you front row seats to their theater of lies. And now you know every actor by their energy. And here's what really makes them panic. You don't need physical evidence anymore. You don't need to catch them. You just know. Your soul tells you, and they can't fake that. They can't delete that. They can't hide from that. The same way they obsessed over your light behind the scenes, you're now spiritually aware of their every shadow. And it's not even personal, it's energetic law. Chosen One, this is why your isolation was necessary. The universe pulled you away to activate your vision, not just your physical eyes, but your spiritual eyes. And now that they're open, they can't be closed. You're no longer surprised by betrayal. You're no longer shocked by fake friends. You already sensed it. And you know now when the dragonflies come, when the numbers repeat, when the dreams get vivid. It's the universe nudging you, protecting you, guiding you. And so let them panic. Let them pace. Let them wonder how much you know. You know enough. Enough to never let them in again. Enough to protect your peace like a fortress. Enough to read energy like a second language. They thought they could spy their way into power, but the universe flipped it. And now, the Chosen One is wide awake and watching. Number 6. They wanted to steal your energy. Now they're addicted to your aura. They wanted your glow, not your growth, your aura, not your agony. But now they're addicted to a light they can't replicate and a power they'll never earn. Chosen One, your energy is rare, not just positive, potent. It's not just good vibes, it's life force. It's the kind of energy that makes people feel seen, healed, inspired, obsessed, or exposed. You walk into a room and the air shifts, conversations pause, eyes turn. Not because you say something, but because your presence says everything. They feel you before they hear you, and that's what made them so dangerous. Because once they tasted your aura, they got hooked, and they never planned on thanking you, only draining you. Let's talk about energy vampires. These people don't just want your attention, they want your essence. They pretend to need your help, your time, your sympathy, your approval, but what they really want is access to your power. They smile in your face while siphoning your soul through conversation, through crisis, through fake friendship. Every time you left their presence, you felt lighter, not in a good way, drained, confused, tired, questioning yourself. That wasn't just a bad day. That was energetic theft. Now imagine this, Chosen One. You're a candle in a room full of moths. They don't love you. They're drawn to your glow. But what happens when they get too close? They burn. That's exactly why they kept trying to dim you. Through copying, mocking, or spiritual leeching. Some even tried cloaking, disguising themselves as healers, friends, even soulmates, just to feed off your light without your permission. And some went deeper. Astral attacks, dream infiltration. You'd wake up exhausted, not knowing why. You weren't imagining it. You were under spiritual surveillance and still standing. But here's what they didn't expect. Your energy doesn't just repel darkness, it alchemizes it. Every attack, every copy, every attempt to hijack your identity, it backfired. Because while they were trying to mirror you, you were evolving. While they were busy copying your outer glow, you were upgrading your internal power source. They don't realize you don't just have a vibe, you are the frequency. And you can't clone spiritual authority. That's earned through trials, not trend chasing. And now they're left with the consequences. They need your energy to feel alive, but you've cut the cord. They stalk your page for updates. They mimic your style, your captions, even your phrases. But here's the part they can't fake: alignment. They can copy your look, but not your light. They can wear your colors, but not carry your frequency. And they know it. That's why they're still watching, still lurking, still obsessed. You may wonder, why didn't they just appreciate me when they had access? Because they never wanted to grow with you. They wanted to absorb you. You were a well of energy, and they were thirsty, but never grateful. You were never meant to heal people who planned to poison you in return. And now that you've reclaimed your aura, they're spiritually dehydrated. And it shows. The universe is replacing all those leeches with real ones. People who don't just want your energy, but honor it. People who pour back, who protect your peace. Your soul tribe is arriving now because you've finally drawn the line between energy exchange and energy exploitation. You no longer give freely to those who disguise their thirst as need. You protect your aura like sacred currency because it is. Let them linger in your shadow, Chosen One. Let them replay your old videos, steal your style, and chase the ghost of your glow. They're addicted now, not to your help, to your essence. But guess what? That essence is no longer for sale. You're on a higher frequency now, and they can't afford the price of evolution. Let them starve. Number 7, your discipline destroyed their agenda. They thought you'd collapse under the weight of their chaos, but you built a throne with the same bricks they threw at you. Chosen One, let's get one thing straight. They didn't just hope you'd fail, they planned for it. Your downfall wasn't a passive wish, it was a full-time campaign. They orchestrated distractions, lit emotional fires, and set invisible traps, all while smirking in the background. But here's what they never calculated: your discipline, your quiet, relentless refusal to stop, and that became their worst nightmare. You see, most people flinch when life hits back, but you built routine in the rubble. They sent betrayal to shake your trust. You doubled down on focus. They tried to pull you into petty drama, and you answered with silence and schedule. While they lived for reaction, you mastered response. While they launched psychic grenades at your peace, you kept rising at 5 a.m., kept building, kept showing up. That's not normal. That's supernatural restraint. Imagine this, a storm screaming at your windows every night, trying to distract you from your mission, but you still show up with your notebook, your discipline, your purpose. That's not weakness, that's spiritual warfare, and you won. They bet everything on your emotional exhaustion, but instead you became a fortress of structure. While they partied, you practiced. While they mocked your path, you mapped it. You didn't run from the pressure, you organized it. And now, your consistency is the slap across their face. Every time you hit another level, they feel it. Every victory you earn is proof that nothing they did worked. That mess they tried to drown you in, you turned it into muscle memory. That heartbreak they thought would paralyze you, you transmuted it into mental discipline. You didn't just survive, you leveled up. Slowly, quietly, consistently, and this is what drives them mad. You made no dramatic comeback, no viral revenge speech, just results. You let your growth be the echo of your revenge. You didn't argue, you outlasted. And now they have to watch you win without them, with zero access. That's the worst part for them. You're not just disciplined, you're gone. No invitation, no explanation, just elevation. Ever wonder why they still circle back with fake concern or try to check in like they suddenly care? It's because your discipline exposed their laziness. Your grind shamed their games. They thought they could derail you with gossip, but you built momentum with every silent sunrise. You became what they feared, untouchable. And now the universe is rewarding your consistency with unstoppable momentum. So here's your confirmation, Chosen One. Your discipline didn't just build your destiny, it destroyed their agenda. And you did it without clapping back, without announcing anything. You became the storm they tried to conjure against you. Keep your head down, keep rising, let the results speak while they choke on the silence. Number 8. Your destiny can't be delayed, not even by your twin flame. They thought they were your ending, but they were just the ignition. Chosen One, let's get one thing clear. Your destiny is time-stamped by the universe, and not even the one who once held your heart had the power to delay it. They may have felt cosmic, familiar, like a mirror walking around in someone else's body, but not every soul that feels magnetic is meant to stay. Some are only sent to trigger your transformation. Some are sent to break your heart just enough to crack you open, so your real power can rise through the scars. They wore the face of love, but they chose the path of destruction, a false flame, a karmic entanglement, someone who mistook your soul for a battlefield. They didn't know who you really were, not until they tried to cage your light and realized they couldn't. That's when the war began. The sabotage, the ghosting, the manipulation. Not because you were weak, but because your presence was waking up parts of them they weren't ready to face. Now imagine this, Chosen One, you're a lighthouse. They were a sailor lost at sea. Instead of letting your light guide them home, they cursed it for exposing their shadows. They couldn't meet your depth, so they tried to drown it. They wanted your healing, but they hated the mirror that came with it. And when you finally pulled away, they pretended like you were the storm. But here's the truth they never saw coming. You didn't just survive it, you transcended it. The same betrayal that was meant to break you became the blueprint of your rebirth. You learned not to chase energy. You stopped romanticizing potential. You stopped trying to heal people who were committed to hurting themselves and others. You leveled up, and now they're left haunted by what they lost. While you rise, they spiral. While you heal, they chase illusions. They were your lesson, not your limitation. Because when you're chosen, even heartbreak works for you. Let's answer what you might be wondering right now. But what if they were my twin flame? Then know this, if they were truly your twin and they betrayed your journey, they betrayed their own soul contract. The universe doesn't wait on people to get it right. When someone delays, deceives, or chooses the dark path, the universe reroutes your blessing without delay. You don't lose your destiny, you lose the delay. You don't miss your purpose, you accelerate toward it. You are not waiting for closure, you are the closure. You don't need an apology to move forward. You are the proof that silence can heal louder than words ever could. And here's the beautiful twist. They didn't delay your destiny, they activated it. Their betrayal was your awakening. Their silence forced you inward. Their absence made you your own anchor. You stopped seeking safety in their arms and started building fortresses within your own soul. Now they stalk your growth in silence. They can feel the difference, the glow, the calm, the peace they couldn't give you because they hadn't built it within themselves. You became what they couldn't. You outgrew the illusion. That's the power of a chosen one. Your pain doesn't poison you, it polishes you. You didn't become bitter, you became bulletproof. So never question whether you should have waited longer, loved harder, or held on tighter. You gave them a front row seat to your greatness, and they turned it into a battlefield. That's on them. Your only job now is to rise higher, shine brighter, and stay unbothered. Because no matter who they were, no matter how deep the bond felt, your mission always came first, and nothing, not even the illusion of forever, can delay what the universe wrote in your name. Let them regret, let them spiral, let them wonder. You've got an empire to build, and it has no room for backpedalers pretending to be soulmates. Keep walking, chosen one, you're already ahead. Number 9. The universe is moving you from rags to riches, and they're watching every step. They laughed when you were down. Now they're choking on silence as you rise without them. Chosen one, what once looked like rock bottom was actually solid ground. That pit they thought you'd die in, it became your launch pad. That job loss, that heartbreak, that public humiliation, those were not curses. They were assignments. The universe was stripping away every false identity, every leech, every illusion, because what's coming for you couldn't be built on shaky ground. You weren't just rejected, you were rerouted to royalty. They called you broke, they called you delusional, they whispered behind your back, mocking your every move. But now they check your every post. They stalk your success silently. They can feel your glow-up radiating like a solar flare, and it's burning their ego to ash. Now imagine this, chosen one. You're the phoenix that rose through fire they set. And instead of perishing, you came out in gold, not because they helped, but because they hurt. That pain, it made you strategic. That betrayal, it made you wise. That silence, it made you dangerous. And now the same people who laughed at your rags are watching you walk into riches with trembling hearts. And let's be clear, this isn't just about money. Your riches are multidimensional. Your mindset is rich. Your peace is untouchable. Your spirit is armored. Your energy is royal. You were once begging for crumbs, now you're dining with kings, and they can't even get a seat at the table they thought you'd never reach. Some of them are still trying to figure out how you even got in the room, let alone became the main attraction. That's what happens when the universe promotes you. They can't block it, stop it, or sabotage it. All they can do now is watch. And what a show they're getting. Every blessing you receive is a mirror to their own failure to value you. Every dollar you earn, every opportunity you walk into, every glow-up moment, they feel it like a slap. And deep down, they know. They fumbled a chosen one. Let's shut down one question you might be wrestling with right now. Do they deserve to watch me win? Yes, that's part of their karma, to witness the very person they tried to bury become the blueprint, to watch you upgrade while they downgrade, because that's what envy does. It eats from the inside out. While they're stuck in loops, you're catching flights. While they gossip, you grind. while they're still obsessed with your past, you're too busy designing your future. You are rising publicly, but you were built privately. They didn't see the nights you cried, the days you almost quit, the inner wars you fought in silence. But now they see you, and they can't unsee it. You're not just glowing, you're glistening with divine timing. Your voice is being heard in rooms you haven't even stepped into yet. Your name is on blessings already making their way to you. Doors are swinging open that no enemy can shut. The universe has made it very clear, you were never meant to stay small. And as for them, let them talk, let them watch, let them wonder how you did it. Because the answer was always simple. You're chosen, you're protected, and you're unstoppable. They should have never doubted the underdog, because now the spotlight's on you, and you didn't have to beg, betray, or backstab to get it. You just stayed real. You stayed faithful to your calling. And now the riches, the recognition, and the rewards are coming in waves. This is your rebirth, chosen one, from rags to riches, from exile to elevation, from silence to domination, and the best part, they're front row for all of it. And now, chosen one, as the dust settles and the truth stands tall, let this be your final reminder. They couldn't stop you because they were never strong enough to carry what you were destined for. You rose from betrayal, chaos, and sabotage. And now your glow is blinding. You were never the victim. You were the test, and they failed. If this message hit your spirit, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop the number 77 in the comments to seal your elevation. Share this with another chosen one. It's time the whole world saw what they tried to bury.